Hello, this is Genealogy Chat. We are coming to you from one of the rooms in the Willenard Genealogy Center, which is a service of the Eckhart Public Library. We have a new sponsor this week, and I'm going to tell you about the two sponsors. Who do we have first as one of the sponsors? We have, this is Princess. She is 5 years old. Her favorite pastimes are getting lost in the couch cushions, eating household bugs, and harassing her sister. The calico is coming up. Oh, there she is. She looks a lot like my Monet. This is Zoe, and she's about 10 years old. And her favorite pastimes are sunning herself on the porch, giving Princess the evil eye, and begging for cheese. And their human is Allison Romer, who is one of the librarians here. And we are so happy to have these two as one of our new sponsors. So I'm going to move on. We normally have our Auburn Minute, but this week we have Auburn Half Hour. And that's exciting. We are really so honored that these people are here. We have three wonderful guests. We have Nancy Derrow, who's in the purple, Barb Morrow, who's in the red, and Don Butler, who's in the gray suit. And they're going to talk about schooling and education in Auburn in the 1930s and 40s. So take it away, Barb.
Thank you so much, Jane. I'm delighted to be here with you all today. And as Jane just mentioned, I'm joined by my neighbors of 43 years, Nancy Derrow and Don Butler. They've been wonderful neighbors. I live right between them. And I've learned so much Auburn history from them over the years. We had all hoped to have one more panelist with us here today. Don's wife of 71 years, Retha Mannon Butler, passed away recently. Certainly a heartbreaking loss for Don and the Butler family, as well as for our community. It's so good of you, Don, to join us here today. Thank you. All right, let's get started. So, right out of the chute, it might be fun to know which elementary schools these two attended back in the 1930s. So, Nancy, where did you go to school?
I went to Riley School, which was on First Street between Jackson and Van Buren.
Okay. And Don?
I went to Harrison Elementary School, and it is on Indiana Avenue, and between it's also west of Van Buren Street.
Okay. And it's today some people might know it as McKinney Harrison, but the McKinney part was built many years later.
That's correct.
All right. Okay. Now, if these two don't mind, I probably should have set this up for them, but just so we can put all this discussion in context, these two were born in 1931. So it means they would have started their schooling about 1936. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So just so you know, we're kind of mid-30s when they started schooling. So where did you two attend junior high? I'm assuming there was only one junior high at the time?
That's correct, yes. The junior high school was, at that time, located on the same property as the Harrison School, just to the east of the Harrison building.
Okay.
And it was the old Auburn High School.
Ah,
Yes.
okay.
So it was the old Auburn High School.
Okay. All right. That's kind of interesting how even back then, they were, kind of moving students to fit the times. On average, how many students were in your elementary school classes?
I think I tried to envision it I think 22 or so. So really about the same size in a way what they are now.
Okay. Would you say the same where you
Yeah.
went?
Yes, probably maybe up to 25, but that's pretty close to it, certainly.
Okay, okay. I was curious then, by the time you went to high school, what would have been the size of your graduating class? And they graduated in 1949.
Right.
Do you recall?
I'm not sure, but Don's gonna, what, 77 or what
There were
was it, Don?
73 actually that
73.
graduated.
In
yes.
the graduating class. Okay, 1949. All right, we'll get back to that high school class. All right, back when you were in elementary school and then even through the years, what was the dress code? Was there a school dress code of any kind?
There was no dress code because you dressed properly. Growing up in the Depression, you would never dream of wearing jeans with cutout knees or, you never would dream dressing the way you should every day,
Okay.
There was never any issue. Now, in high school, it was different, a little different, so we aren't going there yet, are we?
We'll stop in, Ellen, we'll start. How about elementary school, Don? What do you remember?
Well, I think, as Nancy has indicated, most of the dress was casual. There was not any exotic dress as we look at it in schools today, and it was conservative, basically.
Okay. I assume girls always wore dresses or skirts, or?
Absolutely.
Okay, no pants ever for
Oh,
girls?
no.
No, okay.
Not, even in high school, no.
No, okay. I'm old enough, that was still the rule when I was in high school. All right. Given that you attended school in the 1930s during the Great Depression, did your school provide adequate supplies, books, paper, pencils, etc.? And were either of your families hard-pressed to provide adequate supplies, things you might have needed for the classroom?
We used to buy secondhand books, and there was a drugstore where Jeremiah's is now, and you could go in there and buy secondhand books. And that was a big savings, and I know we were always angry when a teacher would change and make a different book because it meant having to buy new books.
So I'll come to you in a second, Don. So the school did not provide your school books?
No.
Interesting.
That's,
Don?
That's correct. The only thing that I can remember the school actually providing for various drawing classes, they had a kind of a heavier brownish type paper, but all the supplies, the books, the crayons, whatever you would want in an art experience, that was provided by the student or obviously the student's family.
Yeah. So thinking about if the students had to get their own textbooks, school books, were you able to get the same school books? I mean, you could go to the second-hand store, but I could see students coming in with kind of the wrong set of books.
Well, the drugstore where the books were sold obviously had a list of the books that were required.
I see.
And
Okay.
basically you told them what grade you were in, and they would bring the
They'd
books
say, "Here it is."
appropriate.
Yeah.
Now, they sold new books as well as used books, but
Uh-huh.
the used books were more economical, and most families would opt for them in order to save the money.
Okay. I did not know that. That's interesting. What was school discipline like? Nancy? And I know you never got in trouble, so I know this would just be the other students who were disciplined.
You're right there. But anyway, there really wasn't any issue with troublemakers in the school, was there, Don?
Not that I'm
No,
aware
no.
of.
There was no issue about
Yeah.
any of that.
If
It
there,
was just a whole different time frame.
if there was any discipline to be utilized, it was pretty much up to the teacher. The teacher would determine what discipline was necessary. It might be writing some things on the blackboard or
That's what I
something
wondered,
like that.
staying after school and having to,
Yes, something like that, staying after school for 30 minutes or something.
Uh-huh.
But, virtually
Yeah.
nothing that was,
But they still
Consequential.
teachers could still hit a child when we were
Paddle.
in school.
yeah.
Yes, or my husband was up at the blackboard one time, kind of whistling, doing a program, or doing something, and the teacher came over and slapped him in the face.
Ooh,
And
wow.
he said, "What'd I do?" And she said, "You were whistling." And I was like, okay.
Ooh.
Or remember Bob Kokinge and middle school, Mr. Ziegler got him in the office and whacked him with a wooden paddle
Yeah.
that he had. You know, they could still do that.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right.
Get by with it.
Yeah. Oh, my. All right. Knowing where you all lived, you lived in town, did you walk to and from school each day? No school bus to take you?
I had the good fortune of living only a couple minutes away from the school, so I could walk there in a minute or two, so that wasn't a problem for me at all.
Okay.
And you have to understand, Auburn was so small then, and a lot of neighborhoods. In my neighborhood, there were lots of kids that went to school. So when you'd open the door to start for school, every other door would open. So kids were walking together, kind of.
Kind of en masse.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
en masse.
Uh-huh.
And you came home at noon. You had an hour.
That's
and
what I
fif-
wondered.
You
For
came
lunch?
home for lunch, and it wasn't lunch then exactly. It was dinner, because in the old days you ate your big meal at noon. I mean, my family did, and I think it was. And then at night, it was supper, which was kind of leftovers if there was anything left
Pretty
over.
much that way, yeah.
That was at your house too?
Yes, I mean that was like
Interesting. Did it make you want to take a nap after a big lunch?
no,
You were too little then.
no, we didn't need
We
to
were
do
just
that.
anxious to get back at the playground.
Yes.
I see.
But it was walking back and forth to school
Yeah.
was a lot of camaraderie. It
Sure.
was really great.
So were there school buses and was it more country kids? Or did they maybe had their own schools out in the country back then?
Well, they had some in the country, but there were some bused as well from the country.
In
But there,
Auburn,
to
okay.
my knowledge, there was never any local busing of the
Okay.
students. By local, of course, I mean within the city of Auburn.
Okay, all right. Okay, if my math is right, you both were in the upper elementary grades when Pearl Harbor was attacked, which was December 1941. What do you remember teachers and students saying in the weeks after the attack?
I don't recall much of anything being said. I think it was an experience. They had no idea what would come of it. And I also think they had no idea what was going to come of it in the terms of how it would affect them or their families or the country, as far as that's concerned.
Okay.
I
Nancy?
remember, I think I was in 6th grade, and Mr. Dogood, who was my teacher. Oh, and by the way, you know, teachers, women could not be married and teach then. Men could, but women could not.
Okay, good.
So all
Good
my
point.
teachers were, as they used to say, old maid teachers.
Yeah.
That
And
was
they
it.
were a miss, M-I-S-S?
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
Except my principal at Riley was Mrs. because her husband had died. So
Oh,
she was allowed to do that.
Oh.
But I remember during the war had just started, and Mr. Dogood in 6th grade said, all right, for art class, I want you to make a poster that shows something patriotic poster. And I've seen this afterwards too, the poster with Uncle Sam saying, Uncle Sam wants you. Have
Yes.
you ever seen?
Uh-huh.
Well, I decided that's what I was going to do, was make that poster with Uncle Sam wanting you. And that's the only thing I remember about the war in school.
And you did it.
I did it. Yeah, I did.
How did it look?
Great.
She's a good artist, so I have no doubt. That's a good story to share. So how did World War II affect your schooling? Do you recall teachers leaving to enlist in the military? I'm thinking, of course, male teachers here.
And there were a number of high school teachers that left at our level. I was not aware of any of those at our level that would have gone.
Yeah.
But definitely there were 4 or 5 teachers at the high school level that left. There were a couple female teachers as well, including Mary Brandon and an individual named Jones, who was a female who taught commercial subjects.
Oh.
And there were a couple of male English teachers as well.
Uh-huh.
But I'm aware of this because I had older brothers who were in the high school at that time.
Right. Okay. Nancy, do you have any recollection of teachers leaving? No. Okay. All right. And he referenced Mary Brandon, and she left to join the Red Cross, and she served overseas. That's a subject that both of them have helped me with. Some research I'm doing. Okay, so in high school, what were your favorite classes?
Go ahead, Don.
I think probably history and English, and of course physical education was always fun.
Sure.
But as far as academic pursuits, history and English, which I ended up getting my bachelor's degree in, and consequently perhaps it related back to the interest that I had beginning in elementary school.
Uh-huh. And so, do you recall the name of any history or English teachers that you had that maybe they had left an impression on you?
I'm not sure that any individual teacher stands out in my mind, but I think all of the teachers were quality teachers
Uh-huh.
and had no problem with any of them, really.
Good, good. Nancy, what about you? Any favorite subjects?
Of course, art, and then probably English also. And we had such 2 wonderful English teachers, and we called her Maud Armstrong, not Miss Armstrong, and Miss, our other English teacher, Miss, what was it, Don?
Do good, is that?
Yeah, no, she was French. I don't, anyway. When I went to college, I thought we had a great English background. Dawson, Carol Dawson was her name.
Good for you.
And I went to a small university in Illinois, and one of the first things I remember my English teacher, which was a required subject, we had to write something, an essay or whatever. And she handed them back after she'd graded them and turned them in. And I got a very good grade on it. And she said to me, Nancy, would you stay after school? And I want to talk to you. I go, what do I do? And she said, you aren't from around here, are you? And I said, no. She said, well, obviously from your essay, you were not from a suburb of Chicago. And I thought, that's because my English teachers were so good. And she was complimenting me
Yeah.
compared to the suburb and the education. So I credit our English teachers, and Don will verify that they were awesome.
Very good, no
That's-
question.
That's a good story to hear, too. How about foreign languages? I'm always intrigued when I know that students took Latin. Did you take Latin?
Yes,
And it was required?
no,
No, but you took it. How
Yes.
many years?
just 1 year.
1 year?
I think we took it because we were always told it's such a basis for your English, you know.
Yeah. So what year, was that more junior year or earlier that you would have taken
A
that?
freshman and sophomore, what about you?
Yes, freshman.
Freshman.
Freshman? Okay. All right. Interesting. And so you've already kind of said how you would rate your education. In your sense, you thought it was a good education
Absolutely.
all the way through.
Absolutely, yes.
Wonderful. So how about we haven't mentioned sports or coaches, and I know, Don, you might have a story or 2 to share in that regard.
Well, I'm not sure what you might might be alluding to, but
Well, you were a good athlete,
Well-
and you can talk about your Don.
yeah. Well, I had a disappointment in my athletic career at Auburn High School, having gotten an injury in football my senior year. I was not able to participate on the basketball team that year. And that was the year, of course, that Auburn went to the state finals. And it's disappointing for somebody that plays in sports to have that stop because of a physical injury, especially when you're in a school that has a team that is going to the state final.
Certainly, yeah.
Yeah.
But you were a good athlete. You played football, and tell us, what you played and.
Well, I played in the backfield along with Don, Nancy's husband, at the same time. And I played in a couple of games with the injury until I was carried off the field. But my last experience in the game, the last game that I was able to play in, I threw a pass to Don, and he ran for a touchdown.
That's my husband.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have a little connection here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Don was an outstanding athlete, no
Yeah.
question about that.
Yeah. So Nancy, you want to talk about that basketball, 1949, that senior year, and you were in the pep squad cheering away?
I wasn't a cheerleader. You can imagine I wasn't. But
I'm just saying a fan cheering.
it's well known. I think everyone knows about that. And sports were a big thing in high school when we were there. You know, it was a fun big thing, wasn't it, Don? It was a fun big thing. So.
And they made it to the finals, but they lost in the
They lost in the afternoon game.
afternoon game. I would say that. So they didn't make it to the night game.
They
yeah.
lost
To Jasper.
to Jasper, the team that actually won the state finals.
Okay, all right, yeah. That's a great story. And the library has a great photo of that team, which is, Okay, so we're got a few minutes here, but we're kind of wrapping up. What other memories would you like to share? What other stories, fun or otherwise, naughty or otherwise, would you like to share with us?
I can't think of anything offhand. Maybe Nancy can jog my memory.
The one thing I remember is making such good friends in a small town in school. And there was a lot of close camaraderie in the school and a lot of good friends.
Who was the principal of the high school when you were here?
Mr. Miller, Lloyd Miller.
Lloyd Miller, okay, all right.
And it was just, I thought, the best school ever.
And did you have traditionally, was there a prom? Did you have prom?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So all those, and then like homecoming,
No homecoming.
no homecoming? No,
Just prom.
just prom. That was okay.
And we only had, 3 sports? Is that right? Track,
Basically, yeah,
track,
yeah. Football, basketball, and
And
track.
track,
but
yeah.
no
But
baseball.
there were some that played golf as well. It was
Oh, really?
Yeah,
yeah,
okay, all right.
but football, basketball, and track
Yeah.
were the only options you had.
Yeah,
And many of the athletes participated in all 3 of those sports.
Well, I think it's clearly they got a good education because they both went on to college, and Don did graduate schooling, was an attorney for many years, got his law degree. Nancy's been involved in so many things in our community, and so, how lucky we are as Auburn that they were born and raised here, educated here, and then came back to serve the community in such a good way. So I thank you both for sharing your time today. Is there anything else either of you would like to say?
Well, while we're commenting on the quality of the education, I think in our class is an example, because there are at least 5 members of the class who not only got their bachelor's, but went on to get advanced degrees. Many of them went to college, even though they may not have finished, they still were exposed to the college life. And I think most of those who were in the class were very proud of the class, not only its success in athletics, but its success in academics.
Yes.
And
And your good friend, Jim Schooling.
yes.
Yes, yes, so true. All right. Again, I thank Nancy and Dawn for being here with us today, and thank you, Jane, for making this program possible.
Thank you. We have some photographs that we'd like to display, some from Harrison and some from Riley. And I wonder, as we show the photos, if you can tell us a little bit about the school. So this is, which school is this?
This is Riley, and it was built in 1902. And that's,
Can we make them a little bit bigger? That's awfully small. That's better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ah, that's,
Riley also. No, I don't know. I can't tell.
I believe
Oh,
it
it's
is.
Riley, because I see my first grade teacher.
Oh, goodness.
Yes.
Good eyes,
Can
Nancy.
we zoom in a little
She's
bit?
on the end there. She was Mrs. Yeah, she's on that left end.
Great.
Mrs. Trish. And I'm probably, oh, there I am.
Oh, where? Show us where.
Oh, Barb, why'd you ask that?
Please show us where. Show us where you are.
She's being silly.
Oh. Well, I think yeah, okay.
And this is another picture from 1940 is at least what it says on the caption. Will you zoom in a little bit more, Zach? Do you remember the teacher?
Is that Riley School?
Yep. Early 1940s. Oh, the teacher was Mrs. Josephine Holsinger.
Oh, Joe Holsinger. I've come across that name before.
She wasn't there when I was.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, gee, that's another small photograph with the students from the same time period. Next, please. Thank you, Zach. And one more class.
That's first grade teacher.
Ah.
I think that's the Riley Park now.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Is there a Harrison photo there, Zach? Okay.
Yep.
No, that's DeSoto.
Ah.
Oh, that's,
This is the DeSoto photo. And then we have.
That's Harrison.
Mhm. So what can you tell us about Harrison, Don?
Well, it was built in 1931, and only 5 years old when I started there. It had basically 12 rooms for students. That is, it had grades 1 through 6, and there were 2 rooms, 2 classes for each of the grades, and that had additional rooms as well for other activities, and it had a small gymnasium with a stage, and we were able to use the gymnasium for physical education and the stage for plays and that sort of thing. It became kind of a community activity for the stage as well as just for the students.
and if you go ahead a couple, Zach, is that the Was that your junior high and the old high school?
That was not our junior high.
Okay. Was that the original Harrison
Yes,
School?
that's the original Harrison.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
With the belfry. Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
I see that.
Okay. Right. Which was, it was on about 12th Street, wasn't it? It was right behind 11th Street?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was between 12th and 13th Street.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
I was so envious because that Harrison was so new and modern looking
Yeah.
compared to Riley
Mhm.
School.
Yeah.
I was
Mhm.
envious of you, Don, going to that new nice school.
Yeah, I bet it
Yeah.
looked good when you were there.
I know.
Yeah, it was
Right.
very
Yes.
nice.
Yeah. Great.
And they were on different sides of town?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Not just easily walking distance, but for Auburn, different sides of town. Yeah. And do you have anything of the Auburn High School?
Ah, this is a good time to show a resource of the Willenard Genealogy Center. We have an online photo archive, and you can access this from any place. It's on our main library website,
Okay.
and there it is. And then you can just enter the words. These are historical pictures
Yes.
of DeKalb County, and and then it shows pictures of, looks like the Auburn High School, and then if you want a copy of this, you can click on the little hyperlink at the bottom and get a copy of it. But I believe I believe they're 300 and, yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think something a lot of people don't know is we know Riley School was named after Indiana poet James Whitcomb Riley.
Mhm.
But DeSoto, I never knew that till recently, was named after a town in Indiana named DeSoto, and there was a building just like the DeSoto School in this town. So
That's
Mhm.
interesting.
there is a DeSoto, Indiana, which
Yeah.
I down by Muncie or something like that.
Mhm.
Now, what you just had, Zach?
Mhm.
What is that?
Well, that was our junior high school.
That was the junior high
Mhm.
school. Okay.
The high school that we had a previous picture there was constructed between 1918 and 1921. It was, because of the Second World War, it was not finished as soon. But when the students then moved on to that high school, then the junior high building, the high school, the old high school building, which that was a picture of, became the junior high.
I see. Okay. All right.
And the land was donated by Mr. Macintosh, who was superintendent of the schools then,
Uh-huh.
and he
There
donated
it is.
his
Right.
land.
That's a good picture. Leave that for just a second, Zach. And of course, for some of the more contemporary Auburn viewers here, they remember it. It was torn down a few years ago. It's across the street where the Community Foundation office is now. And it became, in its later years before it was torn down, Macintosh Elementary School. It had been a junior high and then also an elementary school because my children went there as elementary students. So a lot of changes in Auburn schools over the years.
Mhm.
Well, good photos. That's very nice to share those.
And you can look at those all over the world, and we can help you find them if you want them. Yeah, and then you've got another one for us? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. And I want to thank my wonderful guests for coming on the show, Nancy Derrow, Barb Morrow, and Don Butler. And I want to thank the two fellows, our men behind the camera, Mr. Zach Hymack and Andrew LaVerghetta. And I want to thank you for watching the show. This is a live show that you can watch on our Facebook page as well as YouTube. And of course, I want to thank our 2 new sponsors. We cannot forget Zoe and Princess. So we need to show Zoe and Princess. They brought, this show is made possible this week by Zoe and Princess, who were very fortunate that they're human. Allison Romer provided, oh, there they are. There's Princess and the little calicos and little calico Zoe. Oh, there she is. And they're our new sponsors.
That's right. You should have had
And they were very gracious, weren't they, too?
Yeah.
And so we want to thank you for watching the show, and we will see you next week.